Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 11 of your favorite podcast, Proper Modulation, with your host, Kurimanju. And a man who has brought a different meaning to the term just do it, just by doing it. Cheapy.
What?
My gamers.
What?
Those gamers that you don't want to try. My gamer. We got to get the beat a little bit better if we're going to do this.
I think DMX just died, but he's already rolling over in his grave. He's not even in a grave yet. He's rolling over in like wherever he is now. The hospital.
He's talking to John Constantine right now, and he's saying, "This is why you got to let me come back, because those two need to die right now."
There's a very nerdy, bald white guy, and his black equivalent also ruining it.
Well, we're DMX's people, all right? Because we are mourning his loss. I mean, rest in peace, DMX. He passed away not too recently after a false alarm last night. I don't know if you saw that on Twitter last night. It was going around all over the place that he had passed.
He already died.
Right.
There.
And then his manager had to come out and make a statement that he was actually, I believe, brain dead at the time, or non-responsive, I should say, and that they had him on a breathing machine, I believe.
Yikes. I mean, what happened? He was heroin or something?
I don't know the
fentanyl. Fentanyl? That seems to be.
I don't know what it was. I think it was a drug overdose. He's talked about having issues with drugs throughout the years, throughout his music. He's talked about it. I remember there was a story. See, I'm not prepared right now. I spent my time listening to DMX as opposed to reading about him. But
you were celebrating his life rather than mourning his death.
Well, how I was introduced to him, man. When I first heard about DMX, it was around Rough Riders, and I was playing Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and his album was it Do or Die? I don't remember which one, but it felt like a Castlevania soundtrack. It felt like it could be for Blade soundtrack, but like a decade too early or something. And I was just in love with his music and his whole perspective, and talking about being broke and not talking about being a filthy rich rapper or gangster who's super rich. Look at my wrist and diamonds and necklace. He really talked about depression and how he's in the gutter of the ghetto, and that's where he's from, and you can't understand what it means to steal to live or to rob to live, and that kind of perspective, which was different than at the time, which was more about the bling and everything like that. But I mean, so back to the story, I believe he talked once about being, feeling like he was suckered into becoming addicted to crack cocaine or something, and that was like a big kind of drop-off moment for his life.
How do you get suckered into crack? Like
Good
someone
question.
said, "Oh, try this," like it's harmless, and then...
No, good question. Actually, and you know what? This talks to what's that doctor? A guy who
Dr. Drew.
No,
Dr. Oz.
He's a listener of ours, Dr. Oncology or something like that.
Yes, Gordon.
Gordon, he was our first commenter or something. I remember him. That's why he sticks out in my head. This is your stern moment, okay? Artie talked about this back in the day. You ever see that Ray Charles film with Jamie Foxx?
Yep.
Phenomenal film.
Yep.
And Artie always refers to this part about kind of when describing his torturous relationship with heroin and how he felt it was like a demon possessing him, which all people feel addiction, but heroin's so chemically effective and so quickly changes your life from day to night. You know, it takes 1 or 2 times to become physically addicted to heroin where your body needs it to be healthy, right? And he kept referring to that scene in Ray Charles where Ray Charles was just some talented kid being taken around. He had no idea. This was his ticket to leave a town that didn't understand his genius. He didn't know anybody else. And he's brought to his first gig or his first band that he tours with. And one of the bandmates is already addicted to heroin. And everybody usually leaves the room when he shoots up. And Ray wants to know what's going on. He wants to learn. He's like, "No, kid, you don't want none of this, kid. Once you get with this, you never leave it, or it never leaves you," or something like that.
Right.
And Artie would always mention that to talk about how heroin would be so powerful because he did it. He didn't know what he was getting into. He didn't want a lifetime addiction, but once he tried it, his body needed it from there, and he would be sick without it. So in that same sense, that's what DMX was referring to about cocaine and crack.
Right.
And I'm not sure if that's what he is passed to. I'm just saying he has struggled with addiction for a long time, and once it becomes part of your life, the tolerances that you have, what your body needs, so you don't feel sick, and what will just kill and an animal of your weight and height,
It gets closer and closer.
It gets closer and more of a narrow lane, to navigate. So rest in peace, DMX. What was your first exposure to DMX? Were you ever like a fan or?
He's like, I mean, I like some of his songs. He's a little too angry for me, but I liked, like Party Up.
I was an angry kid.
But his songs, like you said, his songs had like good melody too.
Right,
and that's
great beats.
That's the type of rap that I like, is stuff with good melody. But DMX,
right.
And he had a very unique sound. His voice, obviously, is what made him famous. He sounded like he just smoked 1,000 cigarettes and then got on the mic and then was yelling at the audience that, like, you don't know, like, what's good. I'm good. Like, this is what's good. And I'm going to scream it at you. But I never bought a DMX album.
No, I mean, that's it. Remember, you ever see that clip of him with it was a Rough Riders concert. It must have been like Remember Hot 97 used to do Summer Jam. Yep. Summer Jam. For those not from the East Coast, Hot 97, it was a radio station. I don't even know if they
people
exist
know.
now.
Of course, they still exist.
They do?
Yes.
Okay, so they used to have a Summer Jam. That's
don't you know Hip Hop Gamer? You don't know Hip Hop Gamer? He's from
Tell me about it.
No, I don't want to. Go on.
I thought you were really just making a joke.
No, that's not. That's the real guy.
Hip Hop Gamer, I'm sure it's somebody that I would really be a fan of.
Kick your fucking ass.
Well, don't make me look bad.
He's a nice guy. He's not going to kick your ass.
Wait, so he's into hip hop and gaming?
He's going to kick my ass. You don't know hip hop. He's famous or infamous because he had a wrestling belt made, a real life wrestling belt that you could, if you saw it on TV on like WWE, you'd be like, oh yeah, that's right at home here. Except it was all tricked out for like Hip Hop Gamer. And he would just carry it with him at trade shows like E3. And you would know, like you'd see the guy with the big wrestling belt, and then people got into it and you take pictures with the belt. And then he had like future versions of the belt that had like corporate sponsorships, but you weren't really sure like how that all went down. And
this isn't like a friend of yours, right? I don't want to laugh at him.
I mean, I've met him in person many times, and he's very, very nice and always having a good time and stuff.
Is it tongue in cheek? Am I not supposed to laugh at him?
I mean, it's hard. I mean, he's about like good times, I feel. So, like, if you're laughing with him, that's fine. I don't think you should be laughing at him. I think you should be enjoying the gaming community and the fun that he brings.
So he wore
to it.
the thing because he won championships.
No.
Oh,
he wore the thing because he made it and he likes it. And it's fun.
I think it's fun. I like it. I think it's cool. I told you about how I want to create a cosplay VR helmet so I can look like Tony Stark when I play ping pong. I'm not against it. And matter of fact, I still think it's hilarious. I mean, I would die laughing. I'm a cool guy. You know me. I have a strange sense of humor. I probably will have a good laugh if I see somebody with the belt, any belt. If they're a real wrestler with a belt, I will laugh.
They're not a real wrestler. He doesn't do anything with wrestling.
Even if they're not, I love those things. I know the guy who makes them. I was going to say, when we get to 100 episodes, I'll have us made some belts for proper modulation.
Right.
We can walk around with them on our shoulders.
Right. No, we're not doing that. I would never do that.
Yeah, you will. No, you will. Those belts are awesome. When you get one, you're going to want to wear it.
I was into wrestling in 1984 and then not really since then.
Oh, really? Because it looks like your shirt and your floor are still in 1984 waiting for you.
My shirt? I just bought this shirt.
Oh, really?
At JCPenney.
Did you get it from the 1984?
No, I shop at JCPenney. You got a problem with JCPenney?
I love JCPenney.
Yeah.
I've gotten many first and second grade pair of shoes at JCPenney's.
Right. Hey, we got some callers. We got a caller who wants to talk about DMX.
Hey now, caller?
Hold on, I'm picking up on him. Hello, are you there, caller?
Yes. I'm here.
Hello, how are you? What's your name?
Eric.
Oh. Is this Eric the actor?
This is so whack.
All right. Eric, are you a big fan of were you a big fan of DMX?
Yeah, we're hanging out right now. Just smoking some crack.
Wow, so are you showing DMX around? Are you like showing where all the cool spots are?
I don't need to show anyone around. He can see the fucking place for himself.
But Eric, I got a question for you. So did you wait? Well, I got a question for you. Sorry, I didn't mean to step on you. But when you
that happened a lot in real life, actually.
That's
slow yourself.
Very funny. I don't even know your name.
How'd you get the phone number? Eric, when they flew you up to heaven, did you use balloons or wings?
Cheapy made me call. Fucking asshole.
Thanks,
Did he
Eric.
get you to Cheapy? Will you fly with balloons if Cheapy gets you to? Did he have a real question? Can we go on, please? Can we talk about this in a serious manner? I mean, come on, people. Let's get serious about this, okay? Let's talk about this in a serious manner.
I think that was my friend. Dan calling in again.
Is he the one?
You see, the problem is your Eric the Midget is much better.
Speak.
It was a weak Eric the Midget.
Well, I want next time we have an Eric the actor. Thank you. Slow your roll, Eric the actor. Thank you. All right, I didn't see you on TV. All right, I saw him.
Why not? I've been on TV a lot more than he has.
Oh, really? Were you in plain sight? Because he was.
No, but who was? Does anybody know that show? Is that still on the air?
I think NBC, the national broadcasting company, did.
Did you ever hear of Bloomberg News? Have you heard of Bloomberg News?
No, but it sounds like something related to a video game and belts.
Right. What? Belts?
Championship belts.
No. All right. What else we got to talk about?
I love it. Let's take another call. Fuck the outline. I mean, it's not like I put time into it. It's not like it's interesting or topical or related to the world we freaking live in. You know what I'm saying? Not like I didn't have 12 different songs just in case we went down to DMX karaoke. Karaoke.
You were going to sing the songs?
Well, I mean, I would have muted myself, but it was an excuse.
Bad plan. Sounds horrible. I'd rather have talked to Eric the actor, the fake Eric the actor. All right. I'd love to tell you that I've had like a. What's so funny?
Nothing. Go on.
You're out of things to talk about.
No, I just think it's hilarious that's what we went.
Yeah, they defeated our automatic call screener. But
okay. Listen, let's move along. So what we had next? We had so we talked about our good buddy DMX. Rest in peace. We love you. We will speak your names. How was your week, Cheapy?
It was the same old shit. I went to Orange Theory twice. I played ping pong once in the city, and that was pretty much it. Just trying to get the week to go by. Got my vaccine scheduled for next week.
Bro, let me tell you. I wore this today just so I could show off my guns. For those who are nervous about it, I'm pointing to my Band-Aid from my vaccine. I got my first shot yesterday.
Yeah, I'm not scared about getting the Band-Aid. People are scared about the needle, not the Band-Aid part.
I'm showing the people who are on the fence or reluctant. I did it. I'm here. I did it yesterday. Arm's a little sore, but it's fine. Didn't feel super sick. Felt a little bit tired, but I'm good. You see, I'm as energetic as you see. So I just wanted to encourage those who are watching, our friends out there who might not be decided, go and get the shot, right, so we can hang out in person. That's all. Just trying to be a team player, bro.
Yeah. All right. That's good. Yeah. I mean, people should, if they
Is
have
that okay with you?
If they have a chance to get the vaccine, definitely sign up and get the vaccine. I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't do that.
When is yours? Next week, you said, right?
Yeah.
Then which one? Do you know which one you're going to get?
Pfizer.
The Pfizer one, okay.
I don't know anything about it. That was the one that was closest to my house, and I could get an appointment for me and Mrs. Cheapy at the same time. Yes. So we're going with Pfizer.
That is awesome. That's what I told them. They said, which one do you want? I said, whichever is the first one. They said Moderna, because I did the same for me and Mrs. Kurimanju, and we got the Moderna one. So please go out and get vaccinated, my friends and family who are on the fence. Go for it. It's okay.
You want to take another call?
Sure. What is Eric doing now?
No.
Tell him to be off a speakerphone and keep the volume up next time in the beginning. Okay, let's get to it.
Nathan, you're on the air.
Hey now.
Hey, how's it going, Cheapy and Kurimanju?
Good. How you doing,
man?
Quick question. I'm a new listener to Stern because of Cheapy. I'm a big CatCast fan, and I've had two questions. One would be, is now a good time to jump in as far as learning about Howard and the show? And two, is Howard at, would you say, a decline in his prime, or is he still as good as he was, 20 years ago?
I mean, he's he's definitely not at the top of his game anymore. He's an older man. Like no matter what he would be doing, he would be at the decline. Like what thing, what occupation could somebody have where in their late 60s, early 70s are going to be at the top of their game? I don't know, painting or something.
Psychoanalysis.
Yeah, maybe, but then you have a limited window before you're too crazy or your brain doesn't function as well. And you drop off the cliff.
He's got dementia now.
No, but he forgets things.
Experiencing decline.
He's definitely more forgetful, and so is Robin. But I listen to.
Come on, man! Imus rode that horse until the very end. What are you trying to say? Larry King, another great, went to the very end. Rush Limbaugh. Come on, man! I mean.
Right.
These people were obviously at the top of their game at the end. No?
I'd say, well, the problem is also like they're doing everything remote now.
I'm just kidding, by the way. They were not at the top.
Well, how do you know? You wouldn't know.
Because you never heard of them again. And I keep getting surprised that they were still doing shows. Like, people still listen. And then I see like Rush Limbaugh at the White House. It's like, wow, they let McDonald's and Rush Limbaugh into the White House. Who knew?
Right. So now's a fine time to listen. I mean, it's just not, it's a very different show from 20 years ago.
Yeah, I'd say right now is probably a great time to enter in because of the great depth of history you can find of the show online. That's where I would say, or that they have 101 where they play like fan favorites or they'll do themed kind of playlists. Because the day-to-day show isn't going to be super satisfying 1,000%. At least if you're someone who comes from it in the time period where we did, which wasn't as PC, it was a little bit more off-color constantly. And but we found a sense of humor in it. It didn't feel like incitement. It felt like laughing at ignorant people together.
Right. Does that answer your question, Nathan?
No, absolutely. I appreciate you guys doing the podcast and keep going strong.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, Nathan. Before you go, man, this is awesome. I'm glad that you called in. Can I ask you about, did you see Falcon and the Winter Soldier episode 3? Not today's episode. Did you see episode 3? And do you have an opinion?
I have not. 1 and 2.
1 and 2. Do you?
It's not as good as WandaVision so far.
Okay. Tell me what's your biggest negative about Falcon and Winter Soldier?
Ooh, good one. I don't know. I just don't think the environments that everything's going on is especially interesting to look at. And I don't know. It just seems like the characters are pretty cookie cutter so far.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you don't like the inside of banks? Like at a loan officer's desk? That's not good enough.
Or the Rockies.
All right. Let's let Nathan go. He's done his more than enough time. Thanks, Nathan. Appreciate it.
Nathan's not interested in an air tour of the Grand Canyon.
Right, we've seen that in the Avengers video game. That's all you look at is everything. You're killing robots in a canyon.
And the Red Bull commercial.
Should we pick up on Wombat? Wombat's on the phone.
Sure, yeah.
All right.
Does he have a theme song?
I wish.
Wait, you do? Wait, hold on. You do have a theme song. I don't know if you can hear it, Wombat. Can you hear it?
I can.
Oh, good. The system works. Wow.
Yeah, on my phone. I bet I sound terrible, though.
Whatever.
That's fine. Go ahead, man. Thanks for calling in.
No problem. I thought I was going to ask Cheapy, did I ever tell on the show the story of when I had to go to the charity fundraiser opera with Robin Quivers? Did I ever tell that story on the CatCast?
I think you did, but it was so long ago, I don't remember a thing about it.
Tell us. Did you look at her chest?
Because I feel like it's appropriate for this show.
Lay it on us. I'd love to hear it.
But I want to know, did you look at her chest?
Of course. I was with my
man.
We were married at the time. I believe my wife and I were married at the time.
And you're eye level, right? Perfectly eye level.
We were there together, and I was working for Don Buchwald at the time. So it's probably like 2005, we'll say. So it was like 15, 16 years ago.
So that's like really good
Don's
radio time, too.
Yeah. And Don's wife was a patron of this opera. Wasn't the Met, it was some other opera. And I was like the representative for my department that had to go. Because someone from every department had to go. And we went, and
It was me and it was Robin, and I'm trying to think who else was there. There were definitely other Stern people there. And I sat in the same row. It was me and all the Stern people, not Howard. Of course, he didn't go.
Right.
Robin went instead. And then after we had to go to a silent auction, and I was told we had to bid on something. And at the time, I was making like $0.00 a year. And I'm stuck in a suit and tie after having seen the opera, sitting at this table with Robin and all of these Stern people that are probably worth millions of dollars, and me, and I'm like, what am I gonna bid on? And we wound up bidding on like a book for $20, and I think we won, which is even worse. It was like everything was like $8,000 except for this one book. And they don't tell you how much it was, didn't say, so it looked like we actually like won something that was a big bid. And people were like, oh, you guys did a great job. And Robin was really nice the whole night.
Oh, nice.
But it was just, that's cool. My big memory, is that I got to pretend that I had a lot of money because I dumb lucked out on bidding on the one thing that no one bid more than $20 on.
Right. You should have made a move on Robin. You should have said, look, we could check out this book together. Right. Come back to my place.
I had my wife with me.
Oh. Well, threesome. Yeah. Robin's up for a good time. You bend her right over the sink.
Wow.
I know, but I can't handle that.
No, you can't. She's a lot. She's a lot of lady.
Oh, no, it's not. I can't handle that. I know my limitations.
That's fair enough.
A man who knows his limits is a man who's master of his domain.
Exactly.
Nice.
I'm smart enough to know. I'm smart enough to know what I've got.
Right. All right. This is getting disgusting now. I don't want to picture.
How long is
you always got to go too far.
How long is what you've got?
Stop it! Stop it! I'm gonna hang up on him.
That your Howard Stern show is getting disgusting.
This is not a Howard Stern show anymore. We're mostly Howard Stern free now. You have injected the most Howard Stern into the show in a couple weeks.
Wombat, to give you perspective, Cheapy has not moved to the.
Gross talking about injecting. What was that?
To give you perspective, Cheapy has not gone to the second item on the outline yet. So
is it still talking about Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
There's only 2 items on the outline, though.
We didn't get to that. Listener feedback.
Kurimanju is going to explain how it's not a bad show.
Well, it may or may not be bad. I'm not talking about that at all. We'll jump to it now. While Wombat's on the phone, I want to hear his perspective. My aspect is, and Cheap, you're caught up to episode 3?
Yeah, I didn't watch today's.
Yeah, okay. And Wombat, you're caught up to episode 3?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so everybody who hasn't watched episode 3, that's last week, not today. Spoiler alert, because we're going to talk a little bit about it, not super detail. My thought is that what we're seeing, and this is a conversation I've had with you, Cheapy, the different things that we're seeing on this show aren't rarities to certain people. Certain people, that's part of their life. I'll give you the situation I'm thinking about is the scene where the police pull up and they accost Falcon and they accost Bucky.
And then they arrest the white guy.
Right. Notice I said accost, because to me, that's being accosted. I'm not being checked for a random check. Right. I'm minding my life, and then someone's coming to harass me. That's how I've experienced it in my life growing up. So in that scene, everybody who's seen it, the cops spring to judgment about Falcon to give him, an insulting kind of backhanded racist statement like, we didn't recognize you without your goggles. Things I've heard before. Like I've heard I didn't recognize you without your glasses. I've heard that before.
That's racist? Wait, that's racist?
It depends on the context. So in that scene, your question, is that racist, right?
Say he was in a store that he frequents on a regular basis, and all of a sudden there's a security guard following him around because he wasn't wearing his glasses. And then he puts his glasses on, and the security guard says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't recognize you without your glasses." That's called racism, Cheapy.
Or if they chase me around without my glasses, and
what
then
do the glasses have to do with anything? I'm
because
so lost
they're not
right
really
now.
looking at me. It's their reaction, their prejudice is dictating their activity. So what happens?
They're not looking at him as a person. They're only looking at the color of his skin. They're not even caring enough to take the time to realize if it's someone that they actually know, because they don't care enough. All they see is the skin color.
Interesting.
But let me tie it together, Chief, because what I'm trying to say is that the cops in that scene weren't exactly being racist. They were being bigoted. They judged him based on his skin color without digging to find that the real criminal was the white guy, not the black guy. And the white guy, they just let him in. Oh, come on, buddy. Like he's like fine, right? And if you go on YouTube, you'll see like reaction videos of like an assortment of podcasters who are obsessed with the MCU of different racial backgrounds watching that scene, and most of them have the same reaction, like, man, that's so messed up, because they might know someone who had that situation, or they might make the connection to the George Floyd trial situation. Here's my real world tie-in. Yesterday, we go in to get the shot. My wife, Mrs. Kurimanju, is Japanese, all right? And depending on the scenario, she's Japanese and white. So depending on the scenario, she could look white or Japanese. With a mask on, it's really up to you what you want to decide. Me, I'm West Indian, so I dressed up to get my vaccine, right? So I'm like fresh to death. I got like this white shirt with some purple Japanese, white jeans, purple sneakers, red biker cap. I got these gold sunglasses. Like, your boy is fresh to death. I couldn't find my earrings. I would have popped those. I couldn't find them, but you understand, a big thing is about to happen. So I want to go I need my picture to send to my family. So we get there. I tell my wife to go in first because I know something's about to get stopped. She goes in. Everything's fine. They look at my ID. They look at hers like, oh, okay. They look at my ID. He's like, you live here? I'm like, yes. Yeah, I live here.
Here, like in this building?
In the city.
Right.
I'm like, yeah. It's Jersey City. I live in Jersey City. I love Jersey City. It's in Jersey City. If you live here or work here, you're eligible for the vaccine. So if you commute here to work, they don't want you bringing the virus in, and there are a lot of people commute here for work. So I don't know. And he's like, do you work here? I'm like, well, I work from home, sort of. For the last year, but everybody did. So I'm trying to figure out this whole story. I can't make sense of this. And then he's like, you got a pay stub. I'm like, dude, listen, that's my wife right over there. I scheduled us at the same time.
Right.
I put her for 15 minutes after me. I'm first, then she's going. All right. I don't know what you're looking for. I'm here because I smoke. Look down the list. Look down the list. Look down the list. Like, I'm getting ready.
Right.
I'm about to like just rip this off of me, and I was like getting ready to go.
Right.
The security guard's like, look at it.
You're about to give that guy a shot.
He's like, well, you didn't say that. I'm like, yeah, you do. Do you think I really screwed up and I didn't say it?
I have the opposite.
Say it again. Say it. You start again. We didn't hear you.
On the line. That was. My appointment is for 8:15, but my appointment was 8:15. It's 8:30. Why haven't I had my shot yet? It's 8:30. And meanwhile, there's like 40 people in front of her online. Yeah. No one's had their shot yet.
Right.
And this woman is screaming.
I love that because my place was empty. My place was empty. It was empty. It was empty. And I'm like, what? I'm like, dude, I'm like watching the barge separate from the docks, and I'm like telling my wife, run. And they're like,
right. You don't know me. Don't say you don't know me. Just get your shot and go.
Just go. I love you. And
that's
and
crazy.
Like, he's like, oh, you didn't tell me you were smoking. I'm like, dude, whatever. I'm sure I forgot the reason they let me in here. I'm sure I forgot.
Right? Oh, you said you're a smoker?
I am.
I didn't know.
I am.
Are you a midnight toker?
That as well. And anyway, long story short, that was my little tie-in to, and it wasn't the guy. I don't think after that it was all fun and game. Everybody's fine. I inquired about volunteering because we need more people to get vaccinated and help people get vaccinated. And I have experience with this kind of stuff. But, I don't think he was bigoted. He was black. I don't think he was racist. Those cops in that scene with Falcon, I don't know if they're racist. I don't know if they're going to kneel on Falcon's neck until he dies unless he's wearing goggles. But at the same time, the structure is what provides options that people don't think. They don't know how to think differently. They think that these are only the options. She's white. She probably is safe. You go along. He's black. Maybe he's trying to game the system somehow. Because I also dress as if I was like a reggae singer. Okay. But I like that.
I thought you were going to say you were wearing like a long black trench coat and
No, that's the trigger. If I were a white guy, I was a black guy.
Sure.
I can wear trench coats. People don't really trip about it.
That's right. Right.
Like,
That's a good point. Right.
I go all black. I used to do that all the time back in the day. I never got static.
Right. That's a good point.
Anyway,
anything else, Wombat? Thanks for calling.
Yeah, man.
Oh no, I forgot I was still on the show. So
you can go back to the dishes.
What do you got lined up this afternoon?
You know what? Well, we're gonna watch episode 4 of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Okay.
And we got one of those. Uno decks that was on clearance at Target. So maybe we'll play some Uno tonight.
Which one did you get? Because you saw that from my Twitter, right?
I did. I saw that from your Twitter, and I was there today, and I got the 70s style deck.
I got 2 of those just in case I lose some of the cards, and they were the cheapest ones.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah.
I'm on board. with cheap Uno.
Yeah, man.
We haven't played that in a long time. So,
yeah.
Good times.
All right, dude. Thanks, man.
All right.
Peace.
Later, bro.
Bye. It works.
It works.
It works when people don't yell. Should we talk about, how about you do some listener feedback?
Yes, listener feedback. So, do you want to go?
No, unless you don't have it in front of you.
No, I got it here.
Okay.
We have listener feedback. We got a note from Macedonia Casas the third or 3 on Twitter. He says, decided to finally give this podcast a go after hearing it isn't about Howard Stern anymore. And I'm loving it. Hey now. And congratulations, Macedonia Casas the third. You caught us on the day where we decided to talk the most about Stern we have in a month.
Right. It's fine.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. Thank you for giving us a try. And then we have here Blaze Fielding on Twitter says, I am Kurimanju. Thanks for your comments on George Floyd on the podcast, man. Minneapolis resident here. I live 4 blocks away from everything that happened. Thanks for giving us a voice. So shout outs to you, Blaze Fielding, and to Macedonia Casas III. Thank you guys for listening. And thank you for the nice words.
Yay. Should we talk about some other stuff that we've been watching?
Yeah, let's do it. You go ahead. What are you watching? You're watching too much.
Did you finish the Q documentary?
Oh my goodness, that was crazy. Yeah.
What was that called? It was called Into the Storm.
Into the Storm. Q Into the Storm.
It's on HBO Max or HBO something.
HBO
maybe.
Max. Yeah,
and,
it's HBO Max.
That's one of the best.
6-part series or 4-part?
Six. It's one of the best documentaries that I've seen in the last year or so. Just in terms of like the thrill. Like by the time you get to episode 5, it gets pretty thrilling. Like there's like a whole like adventure going on, like literally like adventure, escape. And I don't want to spoil anything, but it was like a real thriller. And I don't know, the whole Q thing, like I didn't really know too much about it before watching this, but I didn't know about 8chan, I didn't know about 4chan, but this gives you like a good look into it, but not in like in a loose way. Like with you got all the major players have agreed to be interviewed, and it's not sterile at all. It's not like this is a history of 4chan. It's everything is very hands-on and very entertaining, and like any good documentary, the people being interviewed are good characters. They almost seem like they're movie characters, but these are actually just real people who are characters. And that's what makes Into the Storm really good.
Did it confirm your suspicions, without spoiling, did it confirm your suspicions as to, did you come to the same conclusion about who Q is as the documentarian?
I do tend to have the same reaction or thoughts as the documentary came up with, but I didn't know anything about it beforehand, so I've only been really fed from this movie. So that's probably, I'm going to side with whatever they said anyway, but it makes a lot of sense. Like I feel like I'm pretty logical, and usually it's the simplest explanation for anything, and why wouldn't it be in this too? But the scariest thing, I think, like really what like gave me goosebumps was how they tie in QAnon to the Capitol riot. And how it all just like comes around like by like the 5th episode or so, I forget exactly where, but by the end of the series, you see exactly like why Q existed in the first place. This was like the intended outcome. Like if you just tell people things and get them to believe it, if it doesn't come true, they'll make it come true.
Yeah.
or try to make it come true. And that's what led to the Capitol riots. I mean, that was it. And I thought that was like something that I never really thought about. And yeah, very insightful, this show.
Yeah, I think he was the documentarians embedded with that. Well, working on this, I want to say he said 3 years or 2 years or so. So it was interesting to watch that 3 years, to watch that progression from just simple question, kind of how you begin a documentary. What does this, who is this, whatever you're trying to solve, and then starting at square one and building, you really get that intimate feeling of making that journey with the person, especially since we watched January 6th happen on TV and are still hearing about it. And then, you think about all of the fake events and fake things that Q created over the years, like the Pizzagate stuff and the public events, like the rallies that happened, organized on Facebook somewhere by Russian intelligence. And it's just, when you think about all of that, and then you fast forward and you have people like that he was talking about running for Congress in the documentary,
right,
or like in Congress.
Yep.
And you're like, this is like horror. It's like it's so weird, man.
One thing that they didn't really touch on at all was how all the QAnon stuff, it was 4chan and 8chan, right? But it escaped there. It was like, that's not where it started and ended. It may have started there, but it spread its tentacles through Facebook and Twitter, and I guess those two.
It was just the platform.
And and those companies allowed it to spread there.
Yes.
Like unchecked until it was too late.
Yeah. But they didn't care. I think they all have a similar detached. These are all web page people we're talking about.
Right.
They all have a similar detached feeling about the real world ramifications of the digital architecture and community that they are creating. I remember I was introduced to Nichan a million years ago, and I always thought it was the strangest place. It was like in my mind, the definition of the dark web in my mind.
Were you trying to learn how to make a bomb or something?
No, I was afraid of ever searching for that crap. I was afraid for whatever I would see, but you could find like, it was like Reddit. I never heard of Reddit. I don't know if Reddit even existed back then, but I used it the same way I use Reddit to find things that I never would come across otherwise. But at least in Reddit, I don't have to see like the child porn or the murder or the gore. Like, I couldn't really use Nietzsche. Well, and then I remembered I wanted to tell a friend about it. I said, this is the craziest thing, because I had learned about it from an international friend. And I was telling an American friend who had never heard about it. And I couldn't find it. It didn't exist anymore. And watching this documentary, I was able to learn all these permutations of going from Nichan to 4chan to 8chan, and then how 8chan is related to whatever is going on. And it kind of tied it together in my head. So that was just fascinating for me.
Yeah. I would highly recommend Into the Storm. I mean, it sounds like it's going to be lame, but I promise you, like, you're going to be by the 5th episode. I mean, we watched the 5th and 6th episodes right after one another, because I'm not going to bed not knowing how this turns out. So yeah, I would totally recommend that. And also on HBO, I don't know if you checked this out. Did you watch The Last Cruise? That's the
Yes, I did. I love that. That was great.
You loved it? I mean, that's a weird adjective to use for the a documentary about the cruise that was basically in the water right when COVID first came out and got stuck in Japan for how long was that in the Japanese port? Like it was a month?
3 months? 3 months or 1 month?
It was way too long, and they made a 40-minute documentary about it using mostly, not all, but mostly first-person footage from people's cell phones who were on the ship, the passengers and the crew, which I thought, like, the crew was a cool perspective to get.
Yeah.
Because you get to see the crew quarters, and just to imagine those people trapped there for so long, like getting like shit food delivered to their room. It was really like it looked like being in jail.
Or if you're in the crew, no sunlight because your quarters have no windows,
Right.
and your working area is in the belly of the ship. Ship life is really hard, man. If you're working it, if you're living like a royalty in the penthouse with like the deck and the multiple room suite, which I never even knew these things existed. The reason why I say I love it is because I, just as with my background in science, I never saw myself as someone who could go on a cruise because it looks like a petri dish to me. Like
That's what we learned from this.
well, I've always, I was like, I can't go on a cruise because if one person gets the cold, we all got the cold, and we're picking people up from all over the world. So I don't know what their cold is like. I don't like the one I get, so I try to avoid it. You know, like I don't want to be in a subway car where we can't get off for a month or a couple of weeks.
Well, yeah, a week usually, but yeah, I mean, you see like people. They had to test all these people while they're in port, and like when they find out that somebody's got COVID. You watch them like seal the room up, the vents, and it's like, this is not. I felt like actually a little sick watching it. Like I felt like I had a fever watching it. You know,
dude, it was. But see, it's like it's like one of my worst nightmares. So I'm the kind of person who likes watching horror movies. So like this is one of my worst nightmares. I remember telling my buddy when COVID was happening, I was like, dude, this is why I can't go on a cruise. Look what they're going to do. There's people, they're never going to let them off. They're just going to let them die in that thing because they're not going. Nobody wants to bring it on shore. Meanwhile, you could bring them onto a bloody warehouse or a building. It's like, you know what I mean? They're not radioactive. I didn't expect it to be treated that poorly, but I was afraid that the story would be lost and swept under the rug because it was just horrifying to me the whole time it was going on. Because I have a good friend who always goes on cruises every year, him and the family, and I have a couple of clients who do the same. And every time the conversation comes up, I'm always like, I can't do that. Like, I can't. Like, I don't want to be on that cruise if someone gets sick. And then this happened, so that's when I say I loved it. I like exploring my fears. I guess.
Right? Your fears were confirmed, basically.
Oh, I ain't never going on a cruise.
Right. I'm wondering. Well, someone, MJK Guitar in the chat says he's booked a cruise for this Thanksgiving, and so far they're excited. He's fully vaccinated. He canceled last year's cruise. He's afraid to watch the video. Yeah, I would recommend if you have a cruise booked, definitely stay away from the last cruise on HBO. Like that's not going to make you feel good about. Oh my God, you have a cat on you.
Yeah, she likes to visit.
Don't
She's
move.
hungry,
That's
probably,
good. It's good. It's good. It's going to bring us big viewers.
We'll see
like
if she can meow. Well, if she stays up there longer, she might climb on my shoulders. But no, she just wants here to get fed, so she will leave in about 10 seconds, I'm sure.
Right.
Meow. Here, update the banner that goes under us to say we have cats now, including felines.
Now cats.
Call us with your thoughts on cats.
Yeah. All cats can call in.
Wait, I'm going to show some cleavage.
No, don't do that. We also watched the first episode of a new series that just dropped on HBO. I feel like we're doing ads for HBO, but they're all reverse ads because they're not paying and I'm paying for HBO. It's called Exterminate All the Brutes. This is a pretty heavy series.
It is, man.
How many episodes did you watch?
I didn't finish the first one. I need it's too in depth I didn't have any time, but I wanted to watch as much as I have 10 minutes left in the first one.
Oh, okay. You made it
so
through.
I pretty much yeah. But it's just intense, and being South American, colonial. It talks about. It's going very far back to help us to give us the documentarian's perspective on race and the way we interact culturally today. And it's drawing a line from the way America and the Western world is to its colonial beginnings hundreds of years ago. And it's just a very interesting perspective and very, very vivid and unapologetic storytelling.
It's really like an art house. It's got an art house style to it. It's a very unique documentary where the filmmaker himself has sort of inserted himself in his family's life, inserted himself into the narrative. I mean, there's not really. I mean, there is a narrative. There's literally they do these dramatic recreations, but like you don't really know what you're watching. Like it'll just keep switching. Sometimes you're watching a clip from a movie, and they'll show you like, there's a clip from Apocalypse Now,
right?
But he sort of just jumps from one thing to another, and then something that he's created just for this. but it's pretty unique. Mrs. Chibi, like, I could tell, like, is maybe a little too heavy for her, and also it's too little too avant-garde, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm interested. I think I told her we got to watch at least one more. I think there's only 4.
Right.
But
I think it's 4.
You know, you got to like. They had a nice, healthy Holocaust section in the beginning,
right?
Where they, you know, you get to hear about, you know, having Jews wiped out, which is always a good time.
Right. And
like,
who doesn't love it? And then hearing about the Nazi Party speeches around the world.
Right.
What I love about the perspective that he gives. So what he does is he'll make a statement that sounds crazy, like America's roots are based in slavery and colonialism, and then you want to have a reaction, and then he'll show or the glorification of colonialism and slavery. And you want to be like, no, it wasn't. I mean, it's terrible. We all hate that it happened. But, you have this reaction. And then he'll show footage from a film from, 80 or 100 years ago, literally glorifying slavery. Like just a bunch of white people dancing around and making fun of indigenous tribes and describing them as animals. And this is like the holiday special show. It wasn't like some edgy,
right?
And he'll credit the thing, and you're like, "Whoa, yeah."
That's what I mean.
And he'll keep showing it. He'll keep showing it. He ain't cutting it off 10 seconds in.
Right.
You're stuck watching. You're like, "Man, I can't believe people watch this." And then it sinks in your head, like, "Wow, people used to get together as a family to watch this. This was the family thing because it wasn't like they had 12 TVs. It wasn't like there was 12 channels. There wasn't 1,000, a million. There was 3, right?" And it's just crazy because he says you got to relax your prejudices to understand what's going on today. And for me, my prejudice is to want to believe people who are bigoted. My reaction, by prejudice, is to believe that people who are bigoted, are racist, are evil. Like these are all the same. And the reaction of somebody who feels that their race is being wiped out if they don't vote for MAGA, their perspective is different. And I'm seeing some of the footage that their background has seen. You know what I mean?
See
it's
how
weird. It's very weird.
Right. It's all historical. Everything.
It's historical and it's triggering. It's like you won't want to, but you have to kind of, because at the same time, we're sitting through a trial where it's really digging into people now, because I don't know if you caught up with the George Floyd thing. The pulmonologist was testifying yesterday, and he had like some, I don't know if it's 3D remodeling or something. My mom was telling me about it. I didn't watch it. And he showed how there was no capacity for oxygen in George Floyd's lungs based on the positioning. And he showed like in 3D and stuff. And it really sank in for people that there was no way for him to get air in because he couldn't inflate the balloon. There was no space to inflate the balloon. So even though it looked like he could breathe, there was nowhere for it to go. So it's like, we can't look away because that's on video too. Where do you turn, Cheapy? Where do you turn?
I don't know. They just better find that guy guilty. Otherwise, it's going to be a big problem.
Well, we'll still have the documentary.
It's not going to help. It's not going to help anything.
I know. I hope you find him guilty. But anyway, the documentary, Exterminate All Brutes, it is heavy, man.
Yes, it's heavy, but it's truth. You don't want to sugarcoat it. I mean, the whole thing with the Native Americans.
Yeah.
Like, how we're taught this narrative in school, like, oh yeah, the white people came and then the Native Americans, and they had a war. They fought each other. Well, yeah, like the white people came and they just said, all right, we're taking your land and then you're going to be our slaves. You're going to work the land for us and give us food.
Right.
Also, we're not just going to take the land, but then you're going to harvest it for us.
Well, yeah. Like, okay, so the latest this is the hot take for the show. Thanksgiving, the story we get told is like, oh, we were starving, come feed us, help us. And they say, hey, generous, here's our overflowing cupboard. My cup runneth over. I shall share it with you, my brethren. But the historic, he's not talking about Thanksgiving particularly.
Right.
It's just one of, I guess, thousands of atrocities that occurred over that time period. But these settlers landed at this position, found that they couldn't live there without either hunting or farming or leaving. So they went to the indigenous tribe nearby and said, you will farm and feed us and serve us,
or we'll kill you.
We'll kill you and your children and take over your land. Right. And then they said, why don't you come to us with an open heart? Why would you fight for something that you could get with love? And they responded, because we will kill you. And that was the end of that.
Like, oh, you didn't understand? What part of we will kill you didn't you understand? What did love?
we needed a translation.
Yeah, it was all a big misunderstanding, I feel.
It was
so bad.
we should
Yeah.
laugh
There's no
about it,
laughs in this show, by the way. I don't think.
I know,
there's not too many
no.
laughs.
But it doesn't. I don't feel like it had its boot on my heel its boot on my neck all throughout. Like I was so heavy I couldn't handle.
No.
It wasn't too heavy, but it was. It felt more educational than abusive.
Yeah. No. I would recommend it. Just know what you're getting into.
Right. What else were you recommending that we watch? Did you watch Invincible?
I did not watch today's Invincible.
Okay.
We're going to watch that tonight. Yeah, it's a great show. Did you watch it already?
I don't even know where it's up to. I don't know when it comes out. I've watched everything
5.
that's been out. I probably watched everything that's been out of yesterday.
Okay, it came out today.
Oh, that's great. I love that thing. And yeah, you made the right call. I don't think it may not.
No, it's okay. Like,
yeah, you think so?
Invincible, it's there is a lot of gore and violence, but it's not.
I love it. It's so good.
It's not too bad, and I feel like there's not too much other adult material. I mean, you have some like teen hookups,
right?
But it could get worse. I don't know. This show, I feel like they will have no problem surprising you with some some weird ass shit. Like he's making out with his girlfriend, and all of a sudden her head falls off. Like he like crushes her with his super strength. Like he's having sex for the first time, and he just like. His ejaculate just goes right out the back of her or something. I don't know. Anything could happen in that show. So I would like to pre-screen it before Ty watches it. Pre-screen the whole thing. But I would say my favorite character on the show is the demon detective.
Yeah.
I don't know his name, but
demon something.
Demon
Dark
detective.
Knight, Demon Knight or something.
No, yeah. There was Dark Wing. That was like the Batman guy. Fake Batman.
Right.
I love like all the rip-off superheroes. Like I like all that. Yeah, it's a really smart. It's well written. Like it feels smart. The show when I don't feel like forget about the violence part. It doesn't feel like a cartoon when the dialogue. It just feels very like this could be a live action movie. And
yeah,
there's a mystery. It's really like a mystery more than anything. Don't you think? Like there's a mystery that needs to be solved.
It's a mystery that needs to be solved. But I think the larger story is trying to humanize the concept of superpowered individuals and say, like, if they, in this world, nobody is naturally good. That doesn't exist. And if they do exist, they'll die very quickly or they're ineffectual in their efforts. Even people who are neutral / good are rendered useless most of the time. So you're kind of stuck with the gray characters or evil characters to root for. And I always love being in that position. I love being conflicted, like rooting for Tony Soprano, but being right. He's freaking mob boss. He's a killer.
Right.
But still not wanting the feds to catch him.
But this one's a little unclear about who the good guys are and who the bad guys are.
That's
which
why
is
I like
part
it.
of the mystery, which is always good.
Yeah.
That's also why I like Cobra Kai.
That is the mystery. Like, I don't know who's watched it or not, but like, as we watch from the titular character's perspective, which way will we go?
Right. I mean, have you watched Cobra Kai at all? Because I feel like that.
No, I want to. Everybody keeps telling me I should watch it. They say it's funny, but I'm sorry, man.
It's not that it's just funny. It's pretty serious too. Like, and similarly, you would think like, okay, Daniel's going to be the good guy, and what's the guy's name? The blonde-haired guy, Danny, not Danny. What's his name?
Blondie. Eddie, the produce guy.
And you think he's going to be the bad guy, but it's not cut and dry like that at all. Uh-huh. And I think that's what makes a good show, and that's what helps Invincible as well.
I will watch it this weekend because I was just not. I used to take karate. When what's it called? What is the first that show called? The movie it's based off of?
Karate Kid.
When Karate Kid was, and I was just like, this is so freaking lame. I am never gonna watch it. Sweep the leg, I wanted to like punch the TV.
Right.
So it was just and I know everybody's gonna feel very different than me. And you're gonna tell me Cobra Kai is different than that. I know. That's why I'll give it a chance.
First of all, shout out to Defiant in the chat. It's Johnny. Of course, the guy's name is Johnny.
Hey now.
Do it for Johnny. Mrs. Cheapy loves. I can get her to watch. I got her to watch almost 3 seasons of Cobra Kai, but it's always like the episodes. Usually, it's like a couple weeks between viewings because something will happen that's weird on the show. Like Daniel-san will be in his dojo where he's teaching these kids karate, right? But Daniel-san is sitting like in cross-legged style, okay? But he's got shoes on.
Full lotus or half lotus?
No, with like Indian style, old school Indian style. And he's sitting on like a pillow, but he's got shoes on. And Mrs. Cheapy's like, this is so disrespectful. I can't believe like this is happening. Like, are they doing this on purpose? She's not even sure like what's happening.
She's never gone to a Taekwondo dojo in 1992.
Well, certainly not one in America.
I did.
Well, where the guy's like Sensei John is teaching you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's like, hey y'all.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all. That was like how they would teach you.
She finds that stuff really weird, or like in his dojo, it's got like this tatami floor and everything's like looks very Japanesey, but then there's like a chest, like a trunk rather, like a trunk that you would bring to the army back in the day, like a Foot Locker, I guess, like it's sitting there like this, and I guess that was supposed to be like Mr. Miyagi's Foot Locker, but like I don't know, it doesn't look right in the dojo. I'm not sure even if that's right. It's not minimalist. It doesn't belong. And certainly, like, you got to take your shoes off in there, Daniel-san.
Yeah, maybe he doesn't understand. It's just the cabinet for your outside shoes.
No, yeah, right. No, but it's really like a chest, like a chest. But maybe the writers, maybe that's part of the brilliance of the writing is that they're like, hey, this is just like a white guy. Like, he learned a little bit of karate as a kid, and now he thinks he's teaching people, but he can't even, like, take his shoes off or sit properly. Maybe that's part of the genius.
Yeah, but I think you got to stick certain things. How's he going to be an expert if he's supposed to be? It's easier for me to believe, laugh, and still watch the show with what you've told me than it is for you to tell me he's a world, champion.
Yeah, of course, yes,
and I'm
that's
never
the
watching
genius.
because that's what irritated me about that bloody film in the beginning.
Right. Well, maybe that's the genius of this is that, all right, like, okay, Daniel can beat up a few like thugs. He beat up a couple thugs in the show, and maybe he can teach some kids, like, but he doesn't really know what he's doing. Maybe he's just getting lucky. Maybe that's it.
Well, I'll check it out.
I like that you put together this section on the outline of future entertainment that we are supposed to check out the trailers for.
The future of entertainment, my friend. The future of entertainment.
I did my homework and I checked out all the things on your list.
Okay. So what we have here, I think it needs a better name. I said what we're looking forward to, but it's trailers I got. So let's see. Batman: The Long Halloween. That's an animation film from DC that's coming out. I'm excited. I wanted to know, are you familiar with the story or?
I don't know any of the stories, but I do watch all I watch all the DC animated films because I find those are better than the live action ones for the most part.
Better.
Like 90% of those films are pretty well done.
Absolutely. And dude, I mean, not to get sidetracked with the Zack Snyder verse, but the reason why people like the Snyder Cut that much more, in my opinion, is because it is designed, its storyline is designed like they're animated films. It's basically Flashpoint, for those who know. It really is just a flashpoint, and then it's like a jigsaw puzzle of DC's greatest moments, which are usually in its animated films. But The Long Halloween is a classic Batman story. Ooh, you could probably look. Maybe someone can tell us in the chat. What's the guy's name? Is it Jim Loeb, the artist? Or Jeff Loeb, Loeb?
I don't know.
Oh, but anyways, The Long Halloween is a classic Batman story. I think it actually may be related in some sense to some of the themes we get in the Batman film that's coming up with, I think next year. I think they're filming it now.
Yep.
And I'm excited about that one. I always love the animation. It's a great mystery, and I'm not going to give anything about it except that it's new. So I think for people who are new to Batman or new to those kind of things, it'll be a story they may not be familiar with. And that's exciting because the Batman stories are some of the best written, in my opinion, some of them in the comics over the time. Go ahead. What? Someone disagrees. Go ahead.
No. But I thought what was interesting about the trailer is that it's got a new style, a new visual style. It looks like Archer. They're using like the black outlines with like the very flat looking drawings.
Yes.
And they look good.
Yeah, man. Look good. So what's next? We got Yasuke, which is coming out on Netflix. is going to be exciting. Yasuke, are you familiar with the story of Yasuke?
He's the Black Samurai.
There you go.
But this
Just tying it all together.
But that's he was a real guy that worked for one of the emperors.
Yes, so not an emperor. He worked for one of the warlords or daimyos, which is like the warlords from the warring period of Japan, the Sengoku Jidai. And Yasuke, from what I understand from my research, is the first non-Japanese samurai, at least in the history that I've seen, at least the first who was a slave previously. And the warlord who is known for the unification or beginning that unification process of Japan, Oda Nobunaga, is the one who freed Yasuke upon seeing him. Some stories tell it that Yasuke was a soldier slave who bought his freedom and went through, I want to say, like Eastern Europe on his way to Asia. Some say it's that way, and then he was hired by Jesuits as a protector, and that's where Nobunaga saw him and hired him as his arms advisor. But he was actually existed. He was a samurai. He, I believe, was there for about a year before Nobunaga was betrayed by one of his generals, and his family committed suicide, and then Yasuke was sold back into slavery, unfortunately. Very sad, but I love that story because it's interesting, it exists, and I wanted to write a story about a black samurai, but I didn't want it to be the same typical thing. I wanted it to be a way to talk about stories from a different perspective, and my family told me, like, oh, you mean like Yasuke? I'm like, what? And then they told me there's an actual guy,
right.
And it blew my head away. It's so interesting.
Right.
1400s.
Well, this anime, it's like there's magic in it and stuff and demons. So it's not, I don't think this is a historical representation. It's just, it's an anime and the main character is a black samurai. But other than that, it's very much an anime. Like, I don't know if there's tentacle penis in this. Probably not. Probably not much tentacle penis, but definitely monsters.
Is it an anime without tentacle penis?
I think they once in a while, one of those slips through the cracks and they manage to get one out the door. But most of them have, like 98% have tentacle penis from what I've seen.
So yeah, we're looking forward to that. What else?
I checked out the Loki trailer. That's the next Disney Plus TV series. It seemed like to give away a lot, so I actually stopped watching the trailer about a minute in because they started to really explain like the whole plot and everything. I'm like, I don't need to know that from the trailer. It seemed interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I like the visual style. I like the remind me of like Mad Men, sort of like they're going like, I don't know, maybe.
No, I think that was intentional. I think I like the some of the set choices as well. I thought it was, it looks very interesting. It's another relatively obscure comic book storyline that they're going to exploit to great success because that actor, what's the guy's name who plays Loki?
Tom Middleton.
I love that guy.
Hiddleston.
He's a great actor. I love when they cast him as Loki. I was thrilled because with what's the guy's Hemsworth as Thor and Hiddleston as Loki, it seemed, hey, maybe we'll get more than one film because it was so much fun to watch that Thor movie in the beginning. And I was like, I can't see them making Thor mainstream. It's just so out there and ridiculous.
Right.
But they did it. So this one, I'm thrilled to look at it. I mean, I don't want to say what I understand about the story's plot and stuff, especially given that you felt like it was giving too much away in the trailer. But that's going to be fun. And you'll see the difference of budget on storyline impact. Let me tell you, if Falcon and the Winter Soldier was a series, if it was like a series, I think we would have a lot less rushed storytelling.
You're saying they saved all the money for the white guy?
For Wanda.
Oh, Wanda?
The white woman and the white guy. Yeah.
Right.
Because they're both in the film series. They're still going to be in. So they're tying Wanda into the film. And Wanda's going to be tied into Loki. I don't blame it on the race thing. I don't think that makes any sense.
Where's Falcon? How come Falcon's not involved in that? Can't they insert him into the story? He needs work. As we know, he's got to fix up that boat.
Problem with Falcon, he keeps going out working for free.
We got to find out about that boat today. I hope we better find the latest episode. We better see how the boat's doing.
I think
It's going to be sinking.
Get a reference.
It's going to be sinking. Like,
is it sinking or is it flying? I don't know.
No
spoilers.
Imagine that's.
You like what I did there with the flying Falcon flying?
No. I think that's what's going to happen. The finale of Falcon and Winter Soldier. You're going to see the boat, and oh my God, someone's like racing up the hill back here. You're going to see the boat. And it's just gonna they're in trouble somewhere, and you rescue, and all of a sudden the boat is just gonna start flying out of the water slowly, just like the helicarrier, right? It's gonna be like their budget helicarrier. Somehow, like Tony Stark found out that he needed a loan and that he had financial problems. He got to fix up the boat, and he visited it and then hooked it all up. It's got the latest equipment now, and the boat's gonna save the day. But it's still gonna look like shitty on the outside. It's gonna look exactly the same, but it's gonna have like big engine, rockets on the side when it blasts off.
That's exactly. Actually, you ruined the entire episode for everybody. That's not even the finale. That's happened today. That's what happens today's episode. You ruined it.
I wrote today. They need another white guy to write this show. So
it's not a white guy. It's a white woman who writes this show.
No, every episode is a different person.
The director. I'm sorry. I was looking at the director. Is a white woman. And I don't blame it on them. I think if you look at the scenes, I judge film differently. I'm sorry.
It's fine. I'm not shitting on anything.
As themselves, you look at the acting. They are doing great with what they have. Now, I think the pacing doesn't feel right. You feel like you're getting jokes without build-up. Or punchlines without the lead-in. And I blame that on editing and cutting down. Because they do extra. Like Zemo's video. You saw a dancing video of Zemo?
Yeah, I saw it on the show. It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous on the show, and then they made a 1 hour cut of him dancing on YouTube. Disney did. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw. I didn't see the cut of it, but I saw about it. That it came out last night or something, like an hour. You can watch it for an hour. I don't know who. Let's make sure we tweet that out. See if anybody actually watches it for an hour.
No, people watched it. I mean, it was all over social media. But it's I don't know. I'm not looking to shit on the show anymore. But I do think the show I think Falcon and Winter Soldier would benefit greatly from a flying, talking boat. If that boat could be like Knight Rider, but a flying boat, I think. Well, what was the Amazon had their superhero show, The Tick. Did you see The Tick? And they had a talking boat.
Yeah.
And it was great. He was like the best part of one of the best parts of the show. It was hilarious. And obviously they like to make Falcon and Winter Soldier silly too. There's a lot of silliness in the show.
Right.
Talking boat from Tony Stark. Perfect.
Well, listen, let's make sure we mention it to them.
Yeah.
The next writing meeting.
The last bit of homework that you gave me to watch, which I admit I was very negative even before I clicked on the link. I saw it was something called Star Wars Bad Batch. And first of all, why are you laughing? You put it on the list?
Go ahead.
Because I was negative already?
No, I just thought the name Star Wars Bad Batch.
Well, if you have bad in the name, it's always a bad sign about the quality of the show. There's very few shows or movies that have bad in the title that are good. It's just a fact. You do something happens when you put bad in the title, and the show is just bad. But I did check out the trailer, and I like the art.
Yeah,
it seemed like they spent a few dollars on the art and got some good artists. The landscapes looked pretty cool. Even like the spacescapes, rather, I guess what they'd be called. It looked cool.
But
no, but that's it.
Really?
I mean, I don't know if I'm going to
give it a chance.
I don't know, but it could be good. Is it supposed to be for adults or
adults like you and me?
Right. So 13-year-old adults.
Exactly. With great taste, who are waiting for a world like this to arrive for the last 40 years.
I just know, but I haven't been waiting for a world where everything is Star Wars. Like
well, not everything is Star Wars, but we just went through DC Comics, Marvel Comics,
okay, yes,
live action, all live action, top quality acting, top quality direction and writing, top quality budgets. We went through like the Black Samurai that's getting the Netflix treatment, the Black Samurai.
Yeah. Yep, you're right. You're right. But you're right about that, but I feel like Star Wars, we didn't need everything Star Wars. Like there's just too much of a good thing is not a good thing anymore, and it gets diluted. And I feel like that's what happened to Star Wars.
Yeah, I think I'm looking to Bad Batch. I'm not a really big Star Wars person. I like some of the later stuff. I like the story. Who doesn't like the story? But in terms of being a huge Star Wars person, do I want to go back and like rewatch episode 1 or episode 3, I should say, or 4, 5, 6? No, I'm not interested. I mean, sometimes if it's on, I like seeing things. I like how the effects were done historically and how they made things look interesting.
You haven't seen it enough at this point?
I saw it enough as a child. I was not interested. It just wasn't.
Right.
It just didn't have a lot of story. Like you needed a whole universe to be created around it to give it a story. And for me, that was kind of weak. But it was made as an action film, so I didn't keep up with the fandom that read all the books and into the lore and into the games and the whole universe that surrounds the Star Wars. The parts that are interesting, because the films and stuff we see are not the interesting stories. That's the unfortunate part of that whole Star Wars Jedi universe versus the Sith, etc. And I got really into it after The Mandalorian satisfied my series viewing goals. I wasn't sure they're going to be able to stick the landing, and I enjoyed it. And after that, I started watching on YouTube some interesting, like just videos about like games and Star Wars world and these different stories and the different characters, etc. And that's how I came across Bad Batch, because when Ahsoka Tano was on The Mandalorian, I was like, oh my goodness, I need like Ahsoka in my life, like now. I need her in my life, because I loved her character when she has like the 2 lightsabers and it's like all foggy and dark and she's like, I'm like, oh, I got goosebumps, man. I got goosebumps. I was like, yeah, go kick some ass. And then she's like just tore down. I was so into it. Anyway, long story short, I watched more about Ahsoka Tano and some of the more stories to get caught up. So if they did a series on her, I'd know who she was. And Bad Batch is a group of clones who I believe fought alongside her for 1 or 2 stories or a few stories during the animated series of Star Wars. I can't remember which one it is. There's a million.
Clone Wars.
Thank you. That makes sense.
Mecha Kong in the chat.
Oh yeah,
looked it up.
Mecha Kong.
I don't watch any of that stuff, so I don't know. I never got into any of the Star Wars cartoons.
Me neither. If it wasn't for YouTube, I wouldn't. Still, but I liked Ahsoka Tano. I liked her character, and I really, really loved the way it came across in The Mandalorian. So that's why I'm looking forward to Bad Batch. Because if it's along that line, there are Bad Batch, there are Clone Batch that were malfunctions. However, they tend to do the most risky. They're like the A-team.
They're like the Suicide Squad.
Correct. Without being criminals of the clones. And their story, because I think that there was a lot of fan demand for stories about Bad Batch, because everybody liked the idea of these clones who are just really badass and kind of dispassionate, like soldiers of fortune.
All right. Well, a lot to look forward to. To waste our time.
It's never a waste of time when I tell you to do it.
Right. Well, yeah. All right. I think it's time to wrap up the show so I can take my son to his appointment.
Yes.
And we can wrap up our Fridays.
Well, the Friday doesn't end for me. It's about time for me to watch the Snyder Cut again.
No.
This time I'm watching it backwards.
Stop it. All right. Let's remind everybody to follow us on Twitter at ProperModPod. You can grab this show on any of your podcast aggregators that you use.
Yeah, man. And hit me up on Twitter. I am Kurimanju. We miss you all. Until next week. I don't want to end the show.
Later.
Peace.